The House of C.S. Lewis. Gentlemen, scholars, blokes. C.S. Lewis, a gentleman known for his class and collegiality, an Oxford Don whose scholarship and public writings betray a mind alive with the truth. The jovial inkling whose favorite pastime was drinking with friends while philosophizing. These are the traits that defined Lewis, and these are the traits that have shaped the men of Lewis. It all started in 2004 with one Dalava Khan. Dalava was a former Queens street fighter turned gentleman, led an eager, competitive group of freshmen that year, forging new traditions and stoking new rivalries at a time when there were no rivalries or traditions to speak of. Some caught on, and others didn't. For instance, when Dalava attempted to establish a tradition of brother-sister houses, his own freshmen bypassed him and hosted the red and green affair with the House of Thatcher. So while Dalava certainly led with honor in many ways that year, we were still in many ways an immature house, as evident in the selection of that year's House leadership. Ryan Chambers was appointed president because he was indifferent to the House. John Lechleiter was appointed scholar because he was slacking academically. Dustin Pope was appointed the Chamberlain because he thought we had too many house rules. And Anthony Randazzo, Anthony, that legend of the House of Lewis and of the King's College, who founded practically every club at King's, and came to King's because he wanted to be president of the United States. Alas, Anthony was not appointed president of the House of Lewis precisely because he was so ambitious. But in practice, he was the president of the House of C.S. Lewis precisely because he was so ambitious. All banter aside, though, Anthony, like Dalava, stands out as a model of what it means to lead with honor for Lewis men. And in many ways, that chaotic leadership team was a success as well. For instance, John Lechleiter, the academic slacker, went on to win the Jack Award, the honor bestowed on the Lewis man who demonstrates academic excellence. The leadership team, the Comedy of Errors leadership team, was also joined that year by a colorful cast of freshmen. You had Omar Warich, the first King's Court jester, whose first question to the student body president at NSO was, "Can we impeach the student body president?" And then you had this buttoned-up young Amishman who was horrified that his housemates were watching the Boondock Saints on an evening rather than studying at the library. But you put it all together, and you had the delectable quality of playful sobriety. And I'd like to think that it was that playful sobriety that carried us to victory in the 2005-2006 House competition.
This playful sobriety and this Comedy of Errors executive team carried on so that our House history is full of foibles that have turned out to make us pretty great. The 2006-2007 academic year was one of a springboard. John Lechleiter led us through a time where we were setting the foundation for the House that we were eventually to become. We were mediocre in the House competition, slightly hesitant in our brotherhood, but we were setting the foundation for greatness and the delightful experiences we would have in the future. As a freshman after NSO, I had my main experience of the House being 2-hour-long business meetings. They were tedious, very tedious, to the point where I eventually ran for House leadership so that I could help change that. The best part of these House meetings, though, was the Lewis moment provided by Dr. Jackson, our House advisor. He would take a passage from our namesake, poetry, theology, fiction, and provide us a musing that was both intellectually stimulating and devotionally refreshing. It was these Lewis moments that provoked us as a house to delve into our identity, our mission, our values. And while those have changed over the past years, our crest, created by Anthony Randazzo in the last 2 years, has remained the same. The colors on our crest, black, white, maroon. Black meaning strength and mystery. White meaning excellence and truth. Maroon meaning courage. We pursue these things. The banner girding our crest reads, Ducere cum decore, or leading with honor. This slogan guides all that we do, from the Lewis Walk Home list to our desire to be seen by the college as true gentlemen. Finally, the lion and the cross together signify Christ, our ultimate pursuit. It also, the lion, evokes images of Aslan, one of the best creation of our namesake. These traditions and this identity were pursued this year and set the foundation for these things that were to come, which we highly anticipated.
The Comedy of Errors continued in the year 2007 and 2008. My first experience as a freshman with the house was the wonderful Apprentice competition, a house competition designed after the TV show, in which we were required to sell children's books of the highest quality for exorbitant prices to grandmothers in the park in hopes of returning great profit to ourselves. The only thing I learned from this wonderful competition was I will never be a businessman. I have a soul. But the worst part about this competition was the house meeting we had the day before, in which we planned out our attack. Me, being the young, naive freshman that I was, thought this would be a great opportunity to see how such strategizing occurred. What I learned instead was that the House of Lewis is filled with strong personalities, as I watched Anthony Randazzo, Nick Veith, John Lecklider, and Dustin Pope argue about the trivial matters of the plan that we were trying to put together. Needless to say, being a young, scared freshman of only 17, I stayed in the corner and kept my mouth shut. But our house overcame such difficulties, and we grew stronger because of it. The upperclassmen showed me what it meant to live a life of honor and a life of integrity, and how to thrive while I was at King's. It was fitting, therefore, that we had just changed our house values from the more personally focused 7 virtues to the ones we have now, which focus more on relationships: fellowship, discipleship, service, and wisdom. Fellowship focuses more on living life together and growing together as housemates. Discipleship, on carrying each other's burdens and bearing with one another as we pursue Christ in all things. Service gives us an opportunity to take what we have learned inside the house and present it to those who are outside the house. If we do all these things, we will achieve wisdom, the most noble virtue, and what we aim for in all of our house activity. This has done us well as we have sought to live lives of honor and integrity for the past few years.
The school year of 2008 and 2009 is one in which the House proved that we could suffer the loss of such personalities as Anthony Randazzo and Dustin Pope. Not only did we survive this loss, but we were perhaps most fulfilled as a house as we have ever been in our history. Under the leadership of Criss Cross Hot Pants Ross, not only did we win the house competition, but we became the first house in King's history to win the drama competition twice, and the first winning house to have won after staying in first place the whole year. But our success as a house was not only found on the competition field. It became something that changed our lives and our hearts, as Chris's leadership philosophy focused on our values of fellowship, where we focused on having as much fun with each other as possible, and discipleship, where we focused on growing in Christ. This culminated in a tearful night of prayer and confession on the basketball court after the drama competition on the fall retreat. This house, which has such a rich tapestry of history, has many traditions that I look forward to sharing with you tonight, such as events with the ladies' houses of Kings that usually focus on dancing and eating food. These are events like the Red and Green Affair with Thatcher, and the Masquerade Ball with QE1. But one of our most cherished traditions comes with our brother house of Bonhoeffer. Yes, of course I'm referring to the Bonhoeffer and Lewis pig roast, a night where we gather not as King's College students, but as men, around an open fire, where we spit a pig and gorge on ourselves on its meat. We regale each other with stories of bravery, battles, such as the tale of William Wallace, This has only happened once. But we do talk about having it every year. And thus our comedy of errors has continued, because our most cherished tradition is one that we've only done once.
And now, here we are. The terrifying part of being a freshman is realizing there are things much, much greater than yourself. But the joy in being a freshman is realizing you can take part in those things. This year, our upperclassmen, they have shown and taught what it means to lead with honor. Individuals such as Anthony Randazzo, David Lapp, Chris Ross, Kyle McCracken, to name a few, have not only left us a legacy to live up to, but continue to provide us an example to follow. They now pass the torch on to us, that we might embody the House mission statement. Called to excellence and contending for truth, the House of C.S. Lewis is a community of brothers in common pursuit of Christ's lordship in all things. This is our hope, our prayer, and our honor. Blokes, yes. Scholars, yes. And gentlemen, the House of Lewis.